NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest in your Brooklyn Nets news. All right, it's been a little over 3 weeks since my last NetsBoy episode, in which I talked about the exciting news about, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coming to the Nets and why it is that it made sense that, they picked the Nets over the Knicks and all that fun stuff. And it was a very fun episode, one of my favorite episodes I think I've done in a long time, for obvious reasons. But anyway, in that episode, I was originally going to talk about Nets free agency and, players that the Nets were going to get, or who I thought they should be getting. And I kind of talked about that in the episode prior to that, who I want the Nets to go after. But I was going to talk about some of the moves the Nets actually made in the offseason. And I decided to wait a little bit longer than, like I said, I waited about 3 weeks just because I wanted to wait and see what the Nets were going to do. But I'm pretty sure it's safe to say now that the Nets they definitely made all their major moves, but I think they're basically done and that the roster is basically set for next season. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do my episode now about the Nets offseason and the moves they made and what I think of some of these moves. So let's dive right in. Let's start with, obviously, we'll just talk about the obvious thing, and that is Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Obviously, I think I'm pro it. I said it before. Look, I love D'Angelo Russell. I really did. Despite how critical I was at times of him, I still really liked him. I really appreciated him. But you cannot be upset with Kyrie Irving. We know the red flags is what happened in Boston. Is that what kind of leader is Kyrie? Is he is he a draw? Is he all drama? Is he a diva? All that stuff. We don't really know. But at the end of the day, Kyrie wants to be in Brooklyn. He wanted to be a Net. So I think that he's going to be going into this with a much more positive attitude than probably when things started going south in Boston. Like, I think things just weren't working out in Boston, and because he kind of was like, you know what, I don't even really want to be here, it just kind of fed into things and things snowballed. So I'm not really going to look at this whole negative aspect of Kyrie. I used to. A month and a half ago, I was very like, Kyrie, I don't know. But now I've kind of warmed up to the idea of it, because, like I said, it's a brand new situation. And this is where he wants to be. This is where he wanted to be. So he should be a lot more positive and more receptive to the coaching staff and the players around him. And the players want him here too. I don't think there's a single player on this Nets roster that does not want Kyrie Irving there. I don't think so. I think in Boston there was a lot of players, because of the success they had without Kyrie Irving, that they're going to step back and say, wow, we really don't want you. Like, we might be better without you. Like, that's what they were saying in Boston. I don't think there's a single player on the Nets who's going to believe that they're better off without Kyrie Irving. Now, if things go south from the beginning of the season, right, and Kyrie Irving doesn't get off to a good start or gets hurt or the team struggles, there might be some, whispers of like, here we go. Maybe there could be a player who might be upset saying, we were better with D'Angelo, but I'm not buying that. So I really am not really worried about this drama or the problems that could come with Kyrie Irving. I just think it's a great signing. D'Angelo Russell's great. I am rooting so hard for him. Like, I'm never going to be rooting harder for an ex-Net more than D'Angelo Russell. And listen, he played for the Nets for only 2 years. But I don't think you could have had a bigger impact player. I don't think there has been a bigger impact player on the Nets since, I would say, Vince Carter was traded to them. I love Brook Lopez. He's an all-time Net, but he never made such an impact on the team. Brook Lopez was always a very good player, never could take his game to the elite level and be one of the best. That wasn't going to happen. He was just a very good, constant player. But I mean, when I talk about what D'Angelo Russell has meant for this Nets team, he was the face of the revamp and the rebirth of the Nets. He was the face of the rebirth. without D'Angelo Russell and what the Nets did last year, they would not be in the situation they're in to have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. So right off the bat, I give a NetsBoy salute to D'Angelo Russell for what he did for this team. And like I said, I don't think there was a bigger impact player on the Nets since Vince Carter was traded way back in the 2000s. Because you could look at every other move that was made, there was always someone like, nothing really rejuvenated a team as much as that. And of course, you could even argue before the Vince Carter trade, the Jason Kidd trade, which was obviously number one of one of the most revamped moves that the Nets ever made. But because the Vince Carter trade just brought a whole bunch of level of excitement to the Nets that made them prime television. Because oh man, Air Canada is in Jersey and it's going to be exciting. And even though the Nets never went super deep in the playoffs with Carter and that team, they were always one of the best teams in the East at that point. They're always respectable. And so anyway, that's that. And so thank you, D'Angelo Russell. I'm rooting really hard for you over in Golden State. So, but Kyrie Irving's a better player. Kyrie Irving's a more consistent player. Kyrie Irving is the player now on the Nets moving forward. Kevin Durant, I'm not going to talk a lot about Durant because he's not really going to play this year. I don't expect him to play this year. Obviously, the Achilles, we all know what's going on. There's some speculation he might return. Listen. No. Let's not waste our time with that, all right? Let's not put pressure on Kevin Durant to come back. Kevin, just take this whole year off, come back the following year at 100% or as close as you can be, and we'll go from there. So just that's it with Kevin Durant. Then there's DeAndre Jordan, and I love this signing. But NetsBoy, isn't DeAndre Jordan one of your most overrated players in the history of basketball? Yes, okay. I think I talked about this before. I think in the last episode, he was on my list back in the day. If you go back in the NetsBoy archives, as one of the most overrated players in the history of basketball, not history of basketball, but in basketball today, one of the most overrated players. And I do believe that at the time, I felt that he was very much so overrated a couple years ago when everyone was considering him. I would say when he was with the Clippers before he went to the Mavericks and then so on and so forth. But like everyone's like, oh, the big three, and with the Clippers, you have Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. What? So anyway, I'm not gonna go into that though. That's for a different episode. I thought he was overrated because everyone was saying he was a star player, and I'm just like, no, he's just a solid center. He's a good center, and that's what he is, and that's what he is now. He's probably a solid center, a guy who's gonna give you double doubles, 10 points, 10 rebounds, give you great defense, a veteran leader. A very good player, and he gives the Nets toughness that the Nets really needed in that 76ers series. No knock on Ed Davis, but he got hurt, around game 2, game 3, and Jared Allen just could not compete with the size and strength of Joel Embiid. Well, now DeAndre Jordan is here, and he's going to make a big difference. He's going to teach Jared Allen how to be an even more effective rebounder and defensive player. I love this move for what DeAndre Jordan is now. And I think it's a great move. Is he going to start? I don't know. I actually don't really think it matters who starts between Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan because at the end of the day, I mean, look how good Ed Davis was. Ed Davis still played like 20 minutes a game and was a huge factor, even though he didn't start. And though Kenny Atkinson would put him in at the end of games if Jared Allen didn't have a good game. And I think that's what Kenny Atkinson is going to do. He might start Jared Allen, and Jared Allen might play like 24 minutes, but maybe DeAndre Jordan played 24 minutes, That could easily be the case. They might split the time evenly, or Jared Allen might play 26 and DeAndre Jordan played 22. But when the game's on the line, if Jared Allen's having a bad game or he's getting beaten up on the boards, Kenny Atkinson will go DeAndre Jordan. I don't think it really matters. Everyone's like, biggest controversy the Nets have is who's going to be the starting center. I don't think it's much of a controversy. I think both guys want to be the center. The starting center. I think both guys are okay not being the starting center as long as they get their 20 to 25 minutes a game, which they both will. Because let's be honest, I don't think unless something crazy happens or the Nets go small ball for some reason, I don't think there's ever going to be a situation where one of those two guys are not on the court. And then there's talks about them playing together at the same time. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that's really going to be a good idea, but you never know. But anyway, I love the DeAndre Jordan signing. I think that that's a real great player and a really good move by the Nets. Now let's talk about, looking at my list of players to talk about, let's talk about Taurean Prince. Let's talk about that. That's a completely under the radar move that I think was a great move by Sean Marks, trading away Alan Crabb and that draft pick for Torian Prince. Obviously, it was a salary dump move, but to get Torian Prince is just he's a really solid NBA player. Is he a small forward? Is he a power forward? He's kind of a tweener. He can play both. He's a very good defender. He's a capable three-point shooter. I think he shot like 39% from three last year. His biggest issue is he's coming off an injured-plagued season. Gets hurt a lot. But if he can stay healthy, this is a guy who was a lottery pick. At least I believe he was a lottery pick. He was a lottery pick or mid first round pick. And the Nets got him for very cheap. He's going into, I believe, his third year in the league. There's just a lot of upside to him. He's 24 years old. I think he has the ability to develop, and he's another young core player that the Nets got at a discounted price from what they were paying Crab, and he could just be a really key player moving forward. And I definitely see Torian Prince as a rotational player. Is he going to be the starting power forward? Maybe. Is he going to come off the bench? I don't know. We'll see what Kenny Atkinson decides. But he's just a really solid player, and I think that was a great move by Sean Marks. We obviously talked about the drafting of way back of Nicholas Claxton and Jalen Hands. We talked about that before. I think very highly of both those guys. I think Nick Claxton has the potential, not this year, because I think this year he's mostly going to be in the G League. But I think within 3 years, I think Nick Claxton's going to be a rotational player for the Nets, because I think he's got that type of skill set that's very good. I talked about it before in a couple episodes about how, in my opinion, he seems like he's got the Chris Bosh type of body and skill set that's just much rawer than Chris Bosh. Maybe will he become that? I don't think so, but he has that type of skill set. So that was something I liked. And Jalen Hands is just a speedster combo guard. I don't know if he'll ever crack the rotation, but it's just another player that the Nets have that, for where the Nets drafted him in the late second round, he's a steal, because he could have been very much so an early second round draft pick. Wilson Chandler, another under the radar move that Sean Marks made. I love this move. I really do. Wilson Chandler's a great solid player. Great solid player. He's just really good at being solid. That's what he is. Like, he's capable of knocking the three-point shot down. He's a decent rebounder, a very good defender, a good veteran leader. He's like a better version of Jared Dudley. Like, that's what his role is going to be. He's got the same role that Jared Dudley had, but he's better. He's more consistent. He's a better all-around player than Jared Dudley is, but he has that same type of ability. Plus, he's a couple years younger. He's like 31. Jared Dudley's like 34, 35. But he's capable of making the three. He can play the four or the three, so he can play a small forward or a power forward. He's a very good defender, veteran, good rebounder. Just a great under-the-radar move by Sean Marks. So I really love that. Is he going to be the starting power forward? Is he going to come off the bench? I don't know. Once again, you're going to hear this a lot. Kenny Atkinson's got a lot to figure out with this rotation, but I think he'll be in the rotation. I think he's a great player that the Nets got. Now, let's talk about Garrett Temple. Really? Why is there always one player that has to be on this team that I'm just like, why? What's the point? Look, Garrett Temple's not a terrible player, okay? Garrett Temple, if you see Garrett Temple play, you'll probably understand why I'm just kind of like, because he's a lot like that Wayne Ellington type of guy. He'll have one game where he's just like, wow, he's looking incredible out there. He's knocking down the three. He's like 5 for 6 from three. He's stealing the ball. He's making great plays. All right, Garrett Temple. And then he'll fall that up the next game going like 0 for 7 from the floor with like 3 turnovers and just is like a complete disaster on the court. Like, that's who Garrett Temple is. The pros of Garrett Temple is he is a very solid defender, a very good wing player, capable of making the three-point shot. Versatile, can play the 2 or the 3, either one of those wing spots. Excuse me. Sorry. Anyway, if I had real editing equipment, I'd edit that out, but I'm the definition of amateur, so. Anyway, he's just, there's nothing that gets you excited about Garrett Temple. I understand why Sean Marks made the move to bring him in, but because I needed another shooting guard player. But I'm just kind of like I'm telling you, like, if you've had a chance to watch him, you'll understand it. he's just there. He's just a guy who's there. There's nothing that gets you excited about him. But like I said, he is a decent defender, can knock the three-point shot down. I don't expect him to have a lot of minutes with the Nets if he does play crack the rotation. I'm hoping Zana Musa cracks the rotation instead of him and plays more of the shooting guard spot, but you never know. But, look, I watched Garrett Temple when I was watching Vince Carter play with the Grizzlies a couple years ago, and I just didn't like the guy. I just felt that he just didn't do anything, and I thought he took Carter's minutes for no reason. I felt Vince Carter is a better player than Garrett Temple, which I still do, by the way. Which, by the way, why does Vince Carter not have a team yet? Come on, NBA. The guy averaged 7.8 points per game, shot 41% and 39% from three as a 42-year-old old man. I get it. He's 42. He's old, but that's still good numbers. Like, why hasn't a team like the Clippers or Lakers or Rockets or any of these championship teams that don't have many roster spots open say, hey, let's bring him in. We'll give him the minutes. Like, how can he not crack the rotation on, like, the Clippers right now, which literally has the roster of, like, 11 people, or the Lakers, who have a roster of 10 right now, or the Rockets, who could totally use a wing player, or how about the Warriors? The Warriors could use Carter. What the hell? I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with the Nets, but anyway. So, but Garrett Temple to me he's just not that excitable of a player. He's average at best, but hey, Nets needed to fill a roster spot. Should have been Vince, but they went with Garrett Temple. And now the three irrelevants, as I want to call them. David Nwaba. Is that how you say his name? Nwaba. That's it, not Nwaba. Nwaba. David Nwaba. He's the most relevant of the irrelevants, if I want to put it nicely. Played with the Lakers last year. Very good defensive player, a wing player. He's athletic. He's somebody that might shock you, crack the rotation. He could be the next Joe Harris. So I shouldn't be that poo-pooing him. Because if you remember, if anybody watched NetsBoy about 2 years ago, I poo-pooed Joe Harris. I said, Joe Harris, is he going to crack the rotation? I doubt it. He's just whatever. And we all know that Joe Harris now is one of the key players on the Nets. So I might go back and, have to bite these words and swallow these words about Nwaba. Can't say his damn name. David. Anyway, so who knows? He is a young player. He's still relatively young. He's still a good defensive player, a wing, a good player. Another player that the Nets signed to a two-way contract is Henry Ellerson. Now, I had a chance to watch him play a lot at Marquette, when I was following Big East basketball, being a Seton Hall alumni, and watching Seton Hall play Marquette. And I remember watching him and saying, this guy, if he goes to the NBA, he's going to not do that well because he needs more time to develop his game. And that's exactly what happened. He entered the draft, I believe, as a sophomore, was a second-round draft pick, very Isaiah Whitehead-ish, because Isaiah Whitehead was the same type of thing. He should have stayed in college. Instead, he went in a second-round pick. And where is he now? I think he's on, the Pistons? He was on the Pistons. I don't know. I think Trailblazers. Trailblazers signed Whitehead, but it's still, a two-way contract, G-League, so it's come on, Isaiah, you should have stayed in college. Anyway, I thought Ellerson was the same thing. And he had a good year last year when the Knicks brought him on board. The Knicks signed him, and he gave him production there. He's a power forward, small forward hybrid. That's the problem. His size is more small forward, but his skill set is more stretch four. Look, who knows? He's still a young guy. His game's still developing. Like I said, I thought he left college too soon. He'd be graduating now. He would just be entering the draft now, I believe, if he stayed in school. And I think he's a much more polished player. I think could be a player who, with a bunch of injuries, the Nets could call upon. But, there's not a lot to get excited about him. No, he signed a two-way contract. But he is somebody that the Nets have that they could look to for depth down the road. And then the most recent move that the Nets made is Dang Adele. Dang Adele. Who the hell is Dang Adele? Wait, who is this guy? Forward, out of Louisville, years Pro 1, Southern Sudan, blah, 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 born 1997, 6'7". I don't know. I don't know. Dang Adele, ladies and gentlemen. The Nets' most recent signing. I haven't read yet what the contract is. I just heard about this literally like yesterday. I don't know if he signed a two-way contract. I don't know if it's a non-guaranteed contract. I don't know anything about him. I never heard of him. Dang Adele. But that's okay, because there was another player who I never heard of before, and I said, who the hell is this? And that was Spencer Dinwiddie. Who the hell is Spencer Dinwiddie? Well, Spencer Dinwiddie, just like Joe Harris, a key player on the Nets now. So screw you, NetsBoy. Anyway, so there you have it. That's how I'm going to end this video with Dang Adele. 20 minutes of a video, a little too long, but I went on a lot of rants like I always do, and I thank you all again for staying with me and hearing what I have to say. Keep your eyes open for the next NetsBoy episode. Comment below what you think about some of the free agent moves that the Nets made, who you're excited about. My next episode will probably still be about another month or so away, where I'm going to do my preseason expectations and predictions. That's going to be a good show or episode, whatever you want to call these things. So keep your eyes open for that. Comment below. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you again. And until then, who the hell is Dang Adele? And this is NetsBoy signing off.